Taking everybody's silence as compliance. Okay, guys. Erica, I got your question, right? You're all good to go on that question? The difference
Yes,
between the two?
Yes, ma'am.
Excellent. Okay, so we are going to culminate. We had already started culminating last time with domain 3. Domain 3 is very important, just like domain 1. They're very weighted in their importance on the exam. Domain 3 is sort of like an amalgam of many different standards. It is standard 1 of our PPR standards. It is standard 3 of our PPR standards, and technology applications 1 through 7. So it's a big mixture. And if we'll remember and review, standard 1 in our PPR standards is all about your design and your planning of appropriate instruction for all students, an appropriate assessment for all students. It's the plan of action, right? The map, if you will, the skeletal figure of what your lesson can be. Domain 3 is you taking your plan from standard 1, taking your skeleton and giving life to it like Frankenstein with technology. That's actually a pretty apt metaphor or analogy, but it is. It's your implementation, you bringing to life your lesson with engaging conversations, engaging instruction, use of technology, and assessment to make sure that it's all going the way that it should. That's what domain 3 is about. So, sorry, just as a review, a lickety split. I just want to give everybody a round of applause because in society, very often, the most important jobs, the most important, benevolent, amazing people go unnoticed. And that is so very true for teachers. If you walk into a classroom and you see an activity going on and it's going amazing to plan and students are cooperatively learning and talking and engaging and growing, that's all well and fine. That's all we see on the top in this portion here. We know, as people who have studied pedagogy, people who have studied human growth and development, research-based practices, we know what the amount of work and thought and effort that goes into getting the students and for everything to come to that point. And it doesn't always work, and we have to scrap it sometimes and go to like the back burner lesson. Everything that goes into making a lesson happen is manifold and huge, and it very often goes unnoticed and it goes unapplauded. But today and always, every day, I applaud you because teachers are the real MVPs. I don't fight anybody who says otherwise. So we talked about communication. Communication is the first competency within domain 3, competency 7. The teacher understands and applies your principles and strategies for effective communication in various teaching and learning opportunities, meaning not only that you are the person who is directing communication in the way in which you use it, but the activities that you plan for your students to utilize that communication. The activities that and the instances with which you accommodate and provide for where you are communicating with your students, gaining data on their mastery, getting to know who they are, their interest, all of it. Communication is key. I always tell you guys that in domain 1, appropriate instruction, planning appropriate instruction and assessment for all like A, capital A, small A, L, like all students, like every variation of students that you have. And the best way to plan for them is knowing your students. And guess how you get to know them? You communicate with them. You talk to them, with them, about the things that interest them. So competency 7 is about you utilizing the importance of communication within your implementation or application of your plan, of your lesson, of your instruction. Skilled questioning, not just like yes or no questions, skilled questions, and at particular times, peppered. If you put pepper all in one part of your huevitos, that part of the huevitos is guacala. But you got to sprinkle it about. So too with your skilled questioning. Pepper your skilled questioning, pace your skilled questioning to be used as an assessment tool and an engagement tool. Make sure that when you communicate directions or explanations or procedures, that you are effectively using all the facets of communication, nonverbal and otherwise. And if that's not enough, that you find ways to adjust your communication to enhance understanding, enhance their comprehension with a video or my example that I made with my hands. And this is what your finished product should look like. So not only should you communicate the directions and the explanations and the procedures, you should also communicate to them how they're going to be assessed. How are you going to be measured? This is what we need to do today, the objective. This is what we need to achieve today. And this is how we're going to be measured by it. Framing the lesson for them so that they know where to shoot their shot, so that they know where to follow along to the path of success. What does it look like? Providing examples. When you have ELL students, when you have special ed students, you're going to want to simplify complex tasks or ideas. If you see ideas that are going to be unfamiliar to your ELL students, and you already know, oh, I have a couple of intermediates, they're not going to know this. Hello, you need to define that for them and have a mini lesson and or define and provide examples for them within the text. Simplify the tasks, simplify the ideas for special ed and ELLs, and try whenever possible to bring in appropriate communication tools, whether that be technology or otherwise. Effective nonverbal and verbals. Guys, a student who thinks, or rather not just thinks, like, because I loved all of the students that I had, like literally all of them. And some of them were really kind of difficult, challenged me, or I had to go to my corner and count to 10 for a little bit, like really put me to the limit in my 16 years of teaching. I don't have bad feeling or ill will. And every time I entered that class, my goal was for them to succeed. If any of my students don't succeed, that's reflective of my failure. It's my responsibility to find out what supports, what scaffolds, what steps they need in order to achieve success. And at the very base of that, like getting them to achieve success at the very minimal level, is your nonverbals. If you are communicating to the students, guys, I want everybody's success, everybody's equal, high five to everyone, all hands on deck. And then you're very like prejudicial with your feedback and your criticism and whatnot, discriminatory in some ways. And your nonverbals communicate to your students that you don't care for them, or they're not valuable, or you don't see them. That is enough, more than enough, for a human brain to shut down cognitively. Fight, flight, or at ease response. And we want them to be at ease. And you've been in a place with somebody where they didn't have to tell you that they didn't like you, but you're like, that person doesn't like me. And you knew via nonverbals. I have had teachers that gave me that feeling. It's not a good feeling. And even if there's somebody who's smart in that subject area, if they feel you don't like them, they might feel uncomfortable even to answer, because you might embarrass them or whatever. Hopefully you're not that kind of teacher that would do such a horrible, horrific, like jail inducing thing. Monitor your nonverbals. Nonverbal communication accounts for the bulk of what's expressed, right? So like we plan our verbals, monitor your nonverbals, and certainly highly plan your verbals to elicit better opportunity to talk, better opportunity to question, and to sort of delve in. Next, we have one more thing. Again, I told you last time, nobody's going to remember how much money you made, how busy, how many titles you have, Gucci's, what kind of car you drove. Nobody will remember those things. I guarantee you, students, today, right now, my son, who's my middle child, he's 15, he's a sophomore. He has one of my ex-students as a teacher right now. And like, it's really nice to have like that connection, and that student remembers my son coming in on like Saturday class and whatever and doing all that stuff. But like knowing that I made that student feel comfortable and happy and like wanting to be a teacher, that's really cool. People remember how you made them feel, the time you spent with them, what you saw in them that they didn't see, that they could count on you, that you're reliable, that you're patient, that you're compassionate. And like literally we get paid to do it. Unfortunately, children do not have amazing parents all across the board. That was one of the hardest things I had to swallow as a teacher, because I just thought people had parents like I did and people were going to be parents like I was. And then I had my students and I heard the types of situations that they were coming from. And it was like things I couldn't, and I would be in special ed meetings with CPS and just think like, how I'm asking them to like understand grammar and do this stuff when this is happening in their house. I didn't know how they were able to still do it, and still they did, over and over and over again. They just needed a safe, stable place to say, you know what, I got you. You can do it. You're amazing. Let's do this. And it makes all the world of difference. And not everybody's going to come from a bad home, but you don't know. And it's not like that's going to be on your questionnaire when you do your inventory for your students. So just be kind to everyone. Keep your word to be kind to everyone. And anytime you find someone acting up, you want to think about, how often do people want to be the one who like messes it up all the time in class? The one who like gets good, like they don't. That is an outcry and something else is happening. Ooh. Engaging instruction. I had a lot of teachers, especially when I first started teaching, and we'd go to like different professional developments, and they would talk to us about engaging instruction. And just like engage, the word engaging was like oil and water for some of the oldies that were teaching at the time. This was in 2003, 2004. And they were like, well, what am I, like a clown? I'm made to amuse them. But they're our audience. And every lesson objective that we write, the students will learn this. The students will be able to give particular examples to create engaging instruction, to activate engaging instruction. Whatever that objective is, whether we like it or not, we have to make that happen. It is a scientific hypothesis. I'm saying that these varied 30 students of various language proficiency, of various special ed or ed ability or not, they're going to achieve this goal, period. In order for that even to happen on a base level, it has to be interesting. It has to be engaging. And not everything that we learn is easy. And especially with different and difficult concepts, we are going to want to try as much as possible to actively engage them. And there's particular research-based tried and true things we can do in order to actively engage students in the learning process, allowing them to have choice in the situation, providing them with things that particularly interest them, providing them with background knowledge before, connecting things to real world or to student experience. All of those things help actively engage the students in the learning process. None more so than giving them agency, giving them choice. Guys, action and choice for a child is like, oh, the golden egg. In their house, they don't have a lot of choice, most of them, unless, they're Veruca Salt and their parents like give in to their every whim. Most children have a bedtime. They go to bed at a certain time. They eat whatever mom makes. They wear whatever mom buys for school. Oh, mom says yes or no, dad says yes or no, that's it. There's no agency. I'm not in control of anything. And in order to get them engaged, even on a surface level and in a boring level, where it's like, I've given them 3 boring options, but they get to choose one of the 3 that makes it a different, like it's less boring now somehow in their brain cognitively, because I chose this. And so actively engaging students, as simple as giving them choice, is helpful. And why do we want to actively engage them? They're our audience. They're the mark we're trying to hit with our objective. It would be preposterous if we didn't bring in on purpose things that would actively engage them. Relevant and meaningful, utilizing prior knowledge, student experience. You want to actively and consciously monitor your own, that's the teachers. It's not just all about the students' assessment. It's also about assessing ourselves. Does this work? Is this boring? Does anyone like it? And how do you do that? Give a questionnaire to your students. Did you like this unit? What was the thing that was most interesting that you learned? What was most challenging? And what would you change if you could? And sometimes you'll get silly, annoying answers, but most of the time you're going to get good response on what didn't work and what really did. And I would hear some teachers saying like, well, why do I have to take a survey? Like if it's because it matters. Because if their brains aren't plugged in, they're not plugged in for downloading, for learning. We want them engaged. So paying attention and sort of like assessing where we're at. What's my mojo like? Is this jiving with people and students, or is it not? And then we talked about activating the internal motivation with your students, giving them choice. It's so important to give them choice. They have such few choices in their life at this point. Next, we have technology, competency 9. And that's you incorporating in an effective way the use of technology in order to plan by yourself, collaborate with others, with other campuses, other districts, other countries. You use it utilizing technology to organize with your department, with your campus, with other campuses, to deliver instruction in a way that is varied, manifold, and appealing and engaging to your students, and a way of evaluating your instruction, evaluating their understanding of instruction, and also evaluating your actual implementation of instruction for all students. Just to rewind a bit, task appropriate tool, getting a tool that is appropriate to the task. We don't use technology willy-nilly. We do it to expand, to extrapolate, elucidate on a certain topic. And this brings us to our final competency for domain 3, assessment. And I've told you guys many, many times that planning and assessment are cyclical. Instructional planning and assessment are cyclical. We plan, and that is a scientific hypothesis. Sometimes I had as many as 37 English language arts students in my classroom, and whatever my objective was, I was assuming all of them will achieve mastery of it. But how could I tell? I would have to have a way of monitoring their achievement. And it was my preference to not make it a one all says all assessment. Within a certain unit, or looking over or reviewing a certain task, I would make sure that there were multiple ways in which my students could show me that they knew what they know. Multiple ways for them to shine. Visual, audio, tactile type ways of them to express themselves. Several different markers throughout the lesson and or unit so that I could holistically look at their achievement. And it wasn't just a one all performance type situation. So it's you monitoring your students' performance and their achievement, providing them with timely feedback, meaning you don't wait a week or until you get the end of 6 weeks report back or the end of semester report back, that you're always looking for, that you're vigilant. And part of being a responsive instructor means that you are there in the thick of it, in the nitty-gritty. If they're working in cooperative learning groups, you're not at your desk while they're talking it out. You are walking through and being like a sneaky snitch, like you are listening like a stalker for competency and for areas of weakness, collecting data, providing opportunities for the students to build their knowledge. So if they're doing a cooperative learning activity and you're walking along and you hear a couple of people in group 2 don't quite have it, you can stop there, sit down with them, reteach real quick. That is responsive to their needs based on what you observe, based on your assessment, giving them timely feedback that responds and is instructional. That is the best type of learning. If you can catch a need in the flesh and support it and fix it, that's the best type of learning. You want them to make mistakes while you're there with you. And you also want to be able to catch those mistakes. So you need to be fluid, walking about, listening, promoting learning for all students, and providing opportunities for students to show you that they know. So let's continue with the questions. I hear my children arguing with each other. They're aged 20 to 7. And so it's sort of ridiculous to hear a 20-year-old argue with a 7-year-old. He said, "Oh yeah, you're spoiled." Ridiculous. Oh my goodness. Okay, guys. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did we do this one last time? Or yes, I think we did. Yes, we did. I remember this one. Yeah, we haven't done this one. And I want to hear you. Which of the following activities would best assess students' ability to translate geographic data into visual formats? Ooh, what keywords and phrases do we need to pay attention to?
Assess.
Best assess, right? And when they say best, what do they mean?
But there's more than one answer.
Right? There might be more than one reasonable response, but one is more correct based on the specifics they give us. So we're looking for a way to best assess. Assess means measure. Assess means gauge. Assess means track. Measure, gauge, track. assess students' ability to translate geographic data to visual formats. Okay, geographic, digital. And we want to look for an assessment. Let's take a look at these answer choices. Writing an article on the changes in population distribution of local wildlife over the past 20 years. B, color coding landforms and bodies of water on a black and white map of Texas. C, using a handheld GPS receiver to record the coordinates of neighborhood locations on a spreadsheet. D, creating a line graph of population growth in the 5 largest Texas cities since 1850. What can we eliminate? Because we know pretty quickly that's not the right answer.
A.
Absolutely. A, writing an article on changes is not at all visual, right? Like changes in wildlife, like this is not visual, and we're looking for, the goal is a visual format. We're going from geographic to visual, right? So A is out. What else is out based on our keywords and phrases?
Would it be using a handheld GPS receiver? That's dealing with recording.
Right, absolutely. And the coordinates of neighborhood locations on a spreadsheet is not a visual. That's not a visual. Like just having coordinates on a spreadsheet is not a visual. So that's also not a visual format. So we're left with 2 types of visual formats: color coding landforms and bodies of water on a black and white map of Texas, or creating a line graph of population growth in the 5 largest Texas cities since 1850. Now, we can only choose one, which would be the best way to assess the student's ability to translate geographic data into a visual format.
Would the answer be D?
Absolutely. D. So color coding landforms and bodies of water on a black and white map isn't a translation of data. It's just a location, right? It's like a labeling, if you will. So B is, we can bet ourselves $5. B is not the right answer. Good job, guys. After a professional development workshop, a group of elementary school teachers implement a new instructional method, which is successful in their classroom. Which of the following is the best way for teachers to demonstrate the effectiveness of the method for other teachers in the school? Okay, what keywords and phrases? What are they even asking us?
Which of the following is the best way?
We're looking for the best way for sure. Best way means they might have given us more than one way, appropriate way to do it. And we want to demonstrate effectiveness of the method for other teachers, right? That's what we want to do. We're looking for a way to demonstrate effectiveness. That's the goal in the scenario, right? To demonstrate. We've went to a professional development, implemented the instructional method, which, by the way, was successful in the classroom. What is the best way for us to show, demonstrate, layman's terms word for show, to show that it works, to show the other teachers that this method works? What's the best way? A, assembling portfolios that reflect student work and discussing the results with other teachers. B, writing journal entries that describe student responses during the method's implementation and sharing them with other teachers. C, designating different components of the method for each of the other teachers to implement in their classes. D, distributing copies of the handout for the workshop from the workshop to the other teachers and discussing the method with them. So what can we bet ourselves $5 is not the right answer because we don't think it drives with what they say in the scenario and or best practice.
And you can eliminate A.
Eliminate D.
D. Let me see. Distributing copies of the handout from the workshop to other teachers and discussing the method with them. So would D, and I'm going to say no, you're right. D does not demonstrate. This just shows them what the method is, correct? Distributing the handouts from the workshop and then discussing the method, sort of telling them what the method's about, is a great way to explain the method, but we're not looking for that. The goal of the question is the best way in which to demonstrate that it's effective, that it works, that it's good in the classroom. So D is not the right answer. What else might we eliminate that doesn't help us show or demonstrate effect of the method?
D.
Which one?
C.
C. Designating different components. That would be like if there's 3 different steps to this new writing method, and I gave every teacher in my department a different step and told them to teach their students the one step in the program. Like, no, we wouldn't give them different components and have them implement different components. That wouldn't even be effective because it's not the whole method. It's just components of the method. C is definitely wrong. What else?
B. So the answer would probably be A.
What is it?
Could the answer be A?
Which one is, what are you saying we're gonna eliminate?
I want to say we eliminate A because B shows their writing entries and does the implementation while they're demonstrating to the teachers.
B is to be eliminated?
No, A is to be eliminated.
A instead of B. So let's take a look at it. We are left with assembling portfolios that reflect student work, discussing the results with other teachers, or writing journal entries that describe student responses during the method's implementation and sharing them with other teachers. Which one would best show students' work?
A.
A would. B doesn't show their work, and we want to demonstrate the effectiveness of a method. It's going to be shown through the student's work, and that's only visible via the writing portfolios and showing, look at how the writing has improved and discussing those particular results with other teachers. Okay. Whenever students are about to start a new project, their teacher makes a point of reviewing instructional objectives with the class. In addition, the teacher frequently refers to objectives during the course of the subject. For example, when conferring with the students about his or her work, meeting with a small group of students, including during class discussion. This practice would help students develop a sense of responsibility for their own work, primarily by. Okay, guys, what keywords and phrases do we see here?
Instructional objective. Reviewing the instructional objective.
Yeah, sorry, I hear my children. I'm sorry, you said instructional objectives, a point of reviewing instructional objectives. And then in addition, frequently refers, excellent, again, to the objectives. when giving examples, when conferring with the students, meeting with groups, anytime she talks to any of them in small group, one-on-one, pairs, whole group discussion, she's discussing about the objective. This practice of, I would think, harping on the objective best helps students develop a sense of responsibility. We're looking for a sense of responsibility for their own work, primarily by doing what? So let's take a look. A, providing an incentive for them to develop effective time management strategies, encouraging them to recognize connections between the project and their prior learning experiences. C, providing them with an overview of their learning that impacts a sense of direction and purpose. D, prompting them to create strategies for systematically organizing the new information they are learning. Okay, which one can we eliminate and bet ourselves $5? That is not the answer.
A.
A, providing the incentive program. First of all, what are we looking for? We're looking for the students to develop a sense of responsibility in their own work. And providing an incentive program, we know, like external motivation, like prizes, takis, all sorts of gifts, like that is an incentive, external, and has minimal effect. And certainly not as far as responsibility, none is concerned. Participation, maybe. Responsibility, not so much. Okay, we're left with B, C, and D. What else can we eliminate and bet ourselves pretty confidently that's not the correct answer?
B.
Providing them with an overview of their learning that impacts a sense of direction and purpose. What do you think, guys?
D.
Prompting them to create strategies for systematically organizing new information they are learning. So do you think that this practice of repeating the objective is going to help them create strategies for organizing new data?
No.
No, I don't think so either. So we're left with B and C, providing them with an overview of their learning that impacts a sense of direction and purpose, or encouraging them to recognize connections between the project and their prior learning experiences. Which one of these would the teacher be doing by repeating the objective all through, trying to connect the objective to what they're doing and the learning experience?
I would say B.
B is the correct answer?
Correct.
Yes, B is the correct answer. You encourage them to recognize connections by explaining the objective, and as they're going through these different activities throughout the lesson, reminding them on how it makes connections all throughout. A middle school teacher often uses checklists for student essays and projects. Which of the following is the primary purpose for using checklists as assessment tools? Okay, what keywords and phrases, what do we have to pay special attention to here? It's not a huge scenario, it's a small one.
This is middle school.
Middle school, for sure. Anytime they give you an age group, grade level, even if it's not important, like 97% of the time it is, we're going to take it into consideration because EC through 6, middle school and high school, they are at different areas developmentally, therefore different strategies, activities, and tools work best for them. So we have middle school here. What else?
Checklists as assessment tools.
We have checklists, and this is assessment tools. And we're looking for primary purpose. What does primary mean? Want it in layman's terms. What does primary mean, layman's terms style?
The first.
First, main reason, right? What's the main reason to utilize checklists as an assessment tools for essays and projects in middle school? That's what they're asking you. To make comparisons among students, to establish an authentic purpose for students' learning, to monitor a student's progress over time, to establish independent learning opportunities.
I say A is out.
A is out. We're not going to use it to make comparisons at all. This is just for you and yourself, me, myself, and I, and the teacher. That's it.
The rest of them look good.
Yeah, they do. So let's eliminate them. So if you could only choose one, what is the main reason, the first reason why you would use checklists for essays and projects?
Originally, I went with D because you want to establish the student's independency in their grading, but the question's asking for the teacher. So
Right.
then I want to say C to monitor their progress over
That's
time.
exactly right. And that's exactly right. And so like the primary purpose for the teacher, and you read that exactly right. The primary purpose for the teacher is to monitor the student's progress over time. How are they growing in writing, right? For the student, the checklist and a rubric is a source of independent learning opportunities. What did I miss? What can I do better? So on and so forth. But they're asking for, why does the teacher use it mainly? And it's to monitor. Remember, we assess not to give grades, but to see like, how are you doing? How are the students growing in this unit, in this objective? Where are they at? So now we have Miss Martinez begins each grading period by having students set 3 academic achievement goals for the upcoming grading period. At the end of each grading period, she has students revisit their goal sheets to establish whether their goals were accomplished. She has them write about what it took to achieve each goal, or if the goal was not achieved, what needs to happen to reach the goal? Which of the following does the activity best promote? Okay, what are they asking us? What's happening here?
They're asking like she's pretty much trying to ask how are they making the students accountable for their own work?
Right. Just them write about what it took to, reflecting at very least, because not all of them achieve their goals. Some of them, when they don't achieve their goals, they need to say, hey, what happened that I didn't achieve this? And what needs to happen for me to achieve it next time? So at the end of each grading period, they revisit the goal sheets, and they're the ones who came up with the goals. The students set these 3 academic goals. So it's not like the teacher sets it for them. They do it at the beginning of each grading period. And then at the end, they try to see and establish whether they accomplished their goals, and then write, what did I do to accomplish it? What do I do not to accomplish it, right? And that really is keeping them, like you said, Miss Ennis, accountable. Let's take a look at their answer choices. A, establish a cooperative classroom environment. B, developing self-assessment skills to foster learning. C, increasing teacher-student interactions. D, communicating teacher expectations. So what can we eliminate and bet ourselves pretty confidently it's not the right answer? So we want to identify what this activity promotes in the students, them reflecting on if they accomplished their goals or not, and being able to articulate, if you did, why, if you didn't, why. What does this accomplish or promote in the student? Establishing cooperative classroom environment, developing self-assessment skills to foster learning, increasing teacher-student interactions, or communicating teacher expectations. Which do you think you could bet yourself $5 it doesn't do?
D.
Which one?
D.
D or C?
D as a dog.
Yes, D, communicating teacher expectations. It doesn't do that. That doesn't help them at all. Like them reviewing, writing goals and then reviewing if they accomplished it. That doesn't at all communicate teacher goals. Or expectations. It's about their expectations, right? Their goals, their expectations. What else? We're left with 3. Establishing cooperative classroom environment. Is that the main goal? Is that the reason why we're doing this and the main, like, what it's going to promote?
No.
No.
No, I don't think it does at all. I don't think it adds anything to the overall environment, those students reflecting on their own work. So then we have 2 choices: developing self-assessment skills to foster learning, or increasing teacher-student interactions. Which will be most likely? What is it going to promote? One or the other? Them making goals and then reflecting on if they achieved them or not and why they didn't. What will that do? B or C?
B.
B, it sounds like self-assessment to me.
It is. It's self-assessment. B, helping them self-assess because they set goals. And typically they would set goals after we set goals. We would say, okay, guys, in this 6 weeks, we have to do this, this, and this. So our goal is this, this, and that. I'm going to have you guys come up with your goal sheets for this 6 weeks, and they come up with it. And then we see where we land. But that is them self-assessing, looking at how did I do? What can I do more? What didn't I do enough of? And where can I go? Self-assessment. I still hear the children arguing. It's hilarious. And also not. Okay, I think this is the last one, guys. And we're at 7:31, so it's just in time. So we have Mr. Clark. He gives students the following questionnaire. Students, time to assess your performance on this activity. You should identify the things you did well and the areas in which you need improvement. Things I did well, areas I need improvement. What I find most interesting about this activity. What did I find least interesting? How would I change this activity if I could? How would I change this activity to make it a better learning experience for you? All great questions, all necessary to see if you are in fact doing what you're supposed to be doing. Okay. Regularly using this questionnaire in the classroom is most likely to have which of the following effects. So we want to know, using this questionnaire regularly means all the time on a regular basis. It's time to assess your performance on this activity. Anytime they do an activity, we do this thing. It's a regular thing, asking these questions. And we want to know, what is it most likely to have an effect on? A, communicating to the students, emphasis on high student productivity in the classroom. B, helping students identify which subjects they like most and which they like least. C, promoting a positive climate by letting students know they are listened to and respected. D, enhancing students' sense of relevance of school in their lives. Okay, let us eliminate ones we think are for sure not the right answer.
C.
Yeah, helping them identify the subjects that they like or dislike. Like, no, not really. That's not it. What else? Oh, wait. That wasn't it, right? It was B. What else can we eliminate? Because that's not what we're trying to do with this survey. And if we need to go back, we can.
E as in dog.
D as in dog. Enhance the student's self or sense of relevance of school in their lives. Yeah, no, that's not it either. There's no relevancy there at all, even in the questionnaire. So that's not it. So we're left with A and C, communicating to the students the emphasis on high school productivity in the classroom or promoting a positive climate by letting students know that they are listened to and respected.
Is the answer C?
The answer is most definitely C. Absolutely, it's C. Yeah, it's definitely C. A, B, and D are absolutely wrong. And C is the only correct answer. By and you're not only promoting a positive climate when you do this, you're also gathering data, like what is engaging and what is not. If students tell you I didn't like this part of your lesson, and like 7 of them tell you, don't take it with a grain of salt. Take it like the way it's supposed to. Take it like a man. Like, take it the way it's supposed to be taken, and take it as constructive criticism. Because if at the end of the day the audience is not getting the message, if they're not into the delivery, that's a problem, because we need those brains in the classroom to be into the delivery. So finding out who they are, what they like, what they're interested in, their culture, the ins and out, very ridiculously, incredibly important. Okay, guys. Ooh, I did it again. It's time for us to go. But does anyone have any questions for me? And then we'll meet again on Saturday. We're going to do a quick review of domain 4, which is just like what I would consider mostly like logical and like common sense things, like don't hit kids, be respectful to parents, communicate with colleagues, all that jazz. Like, that's what we'll go over briefly. And then we'll go into domain 1 again, circle around back to the big elephant in the room, which is domain 1. And remember, domain 1 also, we just covered it right now with domain 3. There was domain 1 and domain 3, because standard 1 is all of domain 1, and standard 1 makes up a big portion of domain 3. So
So
if
I have
you're
a question for
absolutely
competency 9 with technology.
Mhm.
I've taken the small pre-test on it, and I keep missing I guess the concept of the collaboration whenever it's the teachers collaborating using a technology.
Okay.
Are there any like YouTube videos with that? Because normally, like when I'm looking at my material, it's always focused on the children, like how can kids collaborate? And it's
Right.
used like through blogs, emailing each other, as long
Right.
as it's,
Absolutely.
right. But the ones that I'm missing is whenever it's dealing with teacher on teacher collaboration, how are they sharing their information with each other through technology? It's the way that they're wording it. It's not that I don't get it, but it's the way that they're wording it to
Yeah.
where I continue getting like a 66% every time.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to see a practice question or like an example of one of those questions.
Okay, it's on certified teachers, so I can maybe screenshot it and
That would
send it
be
over to
awesome. Yeah, if
you.
you could do
Yeah.
that. It'd be awesome.
Do you by any chance have the link to domain 1 by any chance? Because I mean I can go on your YouTube channel, but it's really hard to find
There's so
just
many. I
the
know there are so many. I will send you a link to domain 1, but when are you testing?
Saturday.
Yeah, I will send that to you so you can do it. So you're testing on the 26th.
Right. This is my third time.
Oh my goodness. I will send you a playlist with just those. Domain 1.
And then for the test, how do we do, does the test originally go in order, like domain 1, domain 2, domain 3?
I don't
Or
think that it does. I think they skip around. Yeah.
Ugh, darn.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, I think they jump all over for that.
Thank you for if when you send that link, I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's my pleasure. Okay, guys. So if there's no more questions,
I
bid
had a quick
you-
question.
Yes, let's hear it, Miss Garza.
So I took my test earlier this month and I missed it by 6. And my struggle was in domain 2. Is there anything other than like certified teacher and 240 tutoring that can help me? Because I went in there feeling very confident, and to miss it by 6 really,
I know it's the worst.
bummed out.
Terrible.
So, and I only have one shot left, so I really need to make this next test count.
Absolutely, absolutely. Not this next time, but the time after, we'll do a deep dive in domain 2 just for you, Miss Garza.
On a Saturday or on a Wednesday?
In both. It'll be on Wednesday, Saturday, because it's a Saturday and it's gonna be a little bit of it's gonna be a
Okay.
Wednesday, Saturday business.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely. All right, guys. If there are no more questions, I bid you adieu and I will see you on Saturday.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.